Following a historic 31% decline in the second quarter, GDP rose at a record 33% in the third quarter, just in time for next week's November election and complicating both the economic and political perspective of the recovery. After all, while this is certainly a step in the right direction, in good part, the outsized rise last quarter simply reflects a reversal of the low lows of activity at the onset of the pandemic, when businesses were forced to close and individuals were relegated to the confines of their homes. So rather than organic momentum, the recent improvement, more than anything, really emphasizes the power of reopening the economy, even partially, reopening businesses, putting workers back to work, and how detrimental a continued closure of the economy, however medically necessary, can be on workers and businesses. In the details of the report, the gains were widespread. Fixed investment rebounded roughly 30%, residential investment or housing activity gained nearly 60%, and on the consumer side, after months of pent-up demand for goods and services, consumption rose a record 41%, following a 33% drop in the second quarter. Going forward, a double-digit increase in the third quarter may appear to be the beginning of a V-shaped recovery. However, such optimism may be unfounded. In fact, it is very unlikely that the economy will so easily continue along on an uninterrupted positive trajectory, particularly if a resurgence of the virus undermines the progress made July to September. After all, the virus remains the number one risk to the economy, or should I say the policies aimed at stemming the spread of the virus, and the likely resurgence of the virus in the winter, as we are already beginning to see overseas, as well as throughout the Midwest here at home, potentially leading to further restrictions or regulations, will only serve to complicate the outlook for the global recovery, domestic GDP, policy, and of course, next week's election. With that in mind, regardless of a Trump or Biden victory, looking out to the end of the year, growth is likely to slow significantly, particularly as the timeline for a fifth-round spending package continues to be pushed out, creating more of a W-shaped outline for the recovery. In fact, depending on the depth and duration of the resurgence of COVID cases and the additional restrictions enacted, even with an additional $1 to $2 trillion in federal aid, GDP could potentially fall back into negative territory, particularly if uncertainty results in those additional funds simply boosting the savings rate as opposed to immediate consumption. Beyond that, growth is likely to continue to remain minimal for the foreseeable future throughout 2021 and into 2022, with the domestic economy really struggling to maintain a growth rate near the 2% pace recorded at the end of 2019, beginning of 2020.